Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So today we are going to talk about how to effectively use Equipoise, also known as Boldenone. We're going to talk about the undesalinate version of it, that ester. So there is Boldenone cypionate and things like that, but they're really not very common. And really the only difference there is that you're just going to run it a little bit shorter. Otherwise, it's really no significant difference. But before we get into that, I have to reiterate that I am not a doctor. Anything I say in these videos is for your entertainment purposes only, and what you do with this information is completely and utterly up to you, and I am not advising nor condoning you to use anything that we discuss in any way, shape, or form. So let's talk about Equipoise. I know this is a favorite amongst many, and it's also a, how do I say, very underrated compound where it doesn't always get the maybe praise, I guess, that it deserves. I guess that because it's not as profound as some other compounds, that maybe it's overlooked a little bit. But considering, and I've done a video just straight explaining it that you will want to watch. I'm not going to redo the entire video here, but just quickly. Boldenone or Equipoise is going to be really good for lean muscle gain. It's going to be able to add size. It's just not going to be drastic like 15, 20 pounds. But then again, when you're adding that kind of size, generally there's a lot of side effects. There's a lot of water weight, probably estrogen conversion, things like that. It does have a little bit of estrogen conversion, very light, very minimal. Generally, you're going to stay very dry on it. It will help to increase your endurance, which is also a big benefit that you don't really find commonly with steroids. And that's something that's very beneficial as well. Strength's going to increase very nicely. So, you know, that's why it's kind of sought after by quite a few people. The one side effect, well, there was a few side effects, but one of the main ones is the increase in RBCs or red blood cell count. So you're probably going to find yourself needing to donate blood on cycle to really help mitigate that. Also, there is people that are prone to anxiety could have that affect them. It doesn't do it to everybody, but it has shown to do that, especially at higher doses, to, I guess, activate your anxiety a little bit more. Also, it can increase your hunger, which could be good or bad, depending on what your scenario is for what you're trying to accomplish. You may really want an increase in your ability to eat, or you may not. So that's just a quick rundown overview of it. Now, it's a very long half-life. You're looking at a top end of like 2 weeks. So being that it's such a long ester, I generally tell people and recommend, and you'll see it recommended often, to not run it at too short a time. In 12 weeks time, you're very much likely cutting it short. A lot of times with Equipoise, now there are people that are quicker responders than others, but generally speaking, you're not going to really be seeing it work until around week 7 to 9. Obviously, it's working and building within your system, but when I say that, it's in terms of what you see from it, and you start to really notice changes. So it's not a compound that should be used by people that are impatient either. If your patience level is very low, you probably shouldn't be using steroids anyway. Because this is not one of those things where you can be impatient and just start freaking out and doing whatever you want to do and going for crazy doses, etc. But just understand that you need to really know this compound and get it in your head that it's going to take a little bit longer. So you can't get frustrated easily or say it's bunk or say it's not working. It takes time. So that's why you want to get that 16 weeks in, generally, in what I recommend. And I don't like cycles that long, but if you're going to run Equipoise, you want to really get out of it what you're paying for and what you expect to get out of it, it needs to be ran a little bit longer. Now, dosing. Anywhere from 400 to 800, 800 being the very top end. I do see people run a gram of it, and they're okay with it. And you guys know me that have followed me by now. I'm more conservative in my dosing. I do feel that 400 is a little low if you're trying to get everything you expect out of it. 600, 5 to 600 is a sweet spot, is what I like to call it. people generally tolerate it well at higher doses, and there's a few compounds that need to be ran a little bit higher. Primabol and Masteron, Equipoise. These are examples of things that need to go a little bit higher, but the side effects with these are a lot lower, so you can get away with it as opposed to something like a Deca or a Tren, where you want to keep the dosing lower. So it's really cut and dry, to be honest with you. I generally recommend pitting it twice a week. You could argue to do it once a week. This is something that I feel, some people argue against this, and that's fine, but for blood stability levels, I always feel it's a little better to go twice a week. Even with TRT and cypionate and things of that nature, test cypionate, I always say try to go twice a week. You can do once a week, and generally on paper it's okay. Some people, and myself included on TRT, will tell you that you just feel a little bit better doing it twice a week. That's your call, but what I recommend is twice a week. So, I mean, aside from that, there's really not a whole lot to it. It's understanding the compound, feeling out the dose that works best for you. If you are prone to anxiety, you're going to want to keep it on the lower end. If you don't want a huge hunger increase, and you're not guaranteed to even get that, I personally never experienced that with it, and a lot of people haven't, but a lot of people have. So you got to be aware that it's a possibility. It's person-to-person specific. I can't tell you, nor can any other human, whether you will experience that or not. But you have to be aware that it's a possibility, and being that's a possibility, there's a little bit of trial and error there with your dosing. Now, that all depends on your goals, as I stated as well. So, with a lot of compounds, everybody, it's person-to-person specific. I can sit here and spew you facts all day, all night, every day of the week. But you know what? There's going to be at least 5-10% of the people that are going to come back at me, and rightfully so, because they have a different body response and tell me, well, I had a completely different experience. I've got no argument there, neither does anybody else, because I can't argue with what a person's experiencing or how their body responds. Now, sometimes people have a different product than what they think they're getting, an over or underdose product, etc. These are all factors as well. But just keep in mind, every single person is different, not only on their body responses, but their goals. So you can't go insulting people or telling people this and that just because their goals are different than yours or etc. That's Equipoise for you in a nutshell, how to effectively use it. It's not very difficult, but you still need to understand top to bottom how to do it. So, I'm Dylan Gemelli, signing off.